Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Out on a Limb podcast. I'm not going to introduce the host today because I do it all the time, and today I don't feel like it.
Okay. and she's
she
the
was
one
waiting.
that gets, I know.
You were waiting.
You're just messing with us now.
I didn't used to do it very often, and then I got in the habit of doing it all the time.
Yeah, so you don't need to know who we are.
They know who we are.
It's
It's down in the description
We're
box.
here. We'll just let you know when it changes.
Okay.
That's true, because you won't know by looking at us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, today, do we need to cut there?
No,
Oh, I like this. This is good.
keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, you're fine.
We want everything to be just right.
It's perfect.
As you are.
Like
I don't know. She lost her thought.
No, yeah.
No.
As you were.
No, I was going to say Goldilocks, where they said the first bed
Oh.
was too hard, the second one was too soft, and the last one was just right.
Just
That's what you
right.
just-
Oh my goodness.
Okay. At any rate, we're going to talk about solar activity and the event.
And the effect on your brain,
That's right.
apparently. No, I'm kidding.
It's a high solar activity day. Actually,
Yeah.
it is.
It is. Actually, it is.
And
I
that
saw
I can use that as an excuse.
Perfect.
Mercury's not in retrograde, but I can use the solar activity. That's good. Good thing, Samantha.
Something's in
No, it
So
didn't.
it
It
came
just
out.
went out.
but
should
something has to be in retrograde.
Well, listen, let me tell you,
Anyway.
it's not that.
Oh.
There was an X-class solar flare, the biggest one apparently since 2017, that was released on New Year's Eve, and it should be hitting today, January 2nd is when we're
Okay.
taping this.
Am I going to get home first? I'm like,
right.
no, all of a sudden I'm going, okay, this
How old is
directly
your car?
affects me.
How old's your car?
It's new. It's
Then it might
2018.
cut off. Oh, 18. That's not new.
That's not,
Well,
it's
It was
new
new to
enough.
you back in 2018.
Well, anything that pre-computer in a car would not be affected. So
everyone's car's pretty bad.
pretty much everybody's cars.
No, I
The
think it's
little
fine.
MG downstairs. That's not going to be
Okay, maybe we should dive into this so we get a really
Let's
strong
do.
feel of what this means. Because I was just thinking, oh, it's a solar flare. No big deal.
By the end, you'll know what an X-class flare is and all of this kind of stuff.
Okay.
But our computers have not gone off today, and this is our third podcast.
Yes.
Huh?
So Zoom has been good and strong. Our internet's been good and strong. So hopefully
It hasn't hit yet.
we're okay.
We'll see.
All right. Well, what's interesting is that I don't know if you guys have noticed, but probably about a year and a half ago, I noticed that the sun was getting quite a bit hotter. I think it's probably been longer than that, but I noticed it because I like to lay out in the sun. I really do.
Mhm.
That's one of my pitfalls. And every afternoon I get home, I get off relatively early, 3:30. I'm home by 3:45. I can be out on the swing or in the pool in the summertime by 4 o'clock or so.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
days are longer. It's nice. I like to lay out there for like 30 minutes. I would lay out for 30 minutes in the pool typically. And I, one summer just realized that my skin almost felt burny,
Mhm.
like prickly,
Yep.
more than,
Oh, yeah. You're talking about like radiation.
The actual,
Not
the actual.
because it's felt warmer. It's definitely felt warmer, but
right.
yeah, that
I'm talking about the
radiation
feeling
kind of
on your
feeling,
skin. And it's
yeah.
not like I feel like I'm getting a sunburn because 30 minutes is not enough to give my skin a sunburn, but it just felt
Mhm.
painful almost. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was noticing that I had to cut my time to about 20 minutes.
Mhm.
That's
And I
not much
just-
time.
It isn't much time. And I enjoy, I meditate. I just lay out there and enjoy the sun. I receive downloads and information because we know, and we're going to talk about that today, that we're getting a lot of information and downloads and upgrades through our sun.
Yeah.
So I did ask my higher self one time because I did have a case of melanoma on my shoulder.
Mhm.
It's been cut out. Everything's good. But that's nothing to play around with.
No.
So I asked my higher self, I'm like, look, because I did ask in a previous channeling at one point how we were going to die.
Mhm.
I didn't think they would really tell me, but they did. Well, kind of did. You look like you've never heard this story before.
That for convenient reasons.
Probably.
Well,
Probably.
essentially they said we would go from
Oh, right.
old age
Yeah.
and we would go relatively soon.
Yes. Yeah. We talk about that a lot.
Right.
Oh,
Together, kind of together.
Yeah.
Not exactly together.
Thelma
but-
Louise.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
not so much off a cliff, but yes, together.
So one of the last times I talked to my higher self, maybe this summer it was, and I said, look, I know that I'm not going to die of cancer or skin cancer because you've already told me I'm going to make it to old age.
Right.
So can I please continue to lay in the sun without having any problems? What do I need to know? I really want to, don't tell me that I can't be in the sun because it's hard. This is why I say I argue with my higher self or I argue with the collective, right?
Yeah.
And they said, you can do that if you wish, However, do you want your body to continue to be cut up between now and the time you die? I mean, you're not going to die of that. You're right. But they said it nice.
I know
in a
that's
better
pretty,
way.
but it's hardcore.
But they were serious. They're like, you might have to, this is how your body reacts to the sun.
Yeah.
So you might have to have spots cut out.
the problem is not dying. It's what happens between now and when you
That
die.
was their point.
Yeah.
That was exactly
Yeah.
their point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Samantha. Anyway, all of that is to say that the sun's rays are amping up. The sun's power is amping up. The information coming through the sun is amping up.
Yep.
And we know that scientifically, this is not just woo woo, because of the flares. The solar flares are amping up too.
Mhm.
Then this morning, and this is why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast today. So this morning, as I was preparing for podcast topics, David Manning, who we had on the show, he's fantastic. We did a 2-parter with him. Go watch his episodes if you haven't. He's a lovely, lovely human being living in the UK. And he often posts a meditation and some information about what he's sensing in the field and what kind of things need to be cleared and whatever.
Mhm.
And he'll post that prior to a Sunday energy session. So he offers these Sunday energy sessions for everybody via Zoom. So this past one, I think he just put it out this morning, and it might be for this weekend. He said in his meditation, he became aware of being held in a ray of light directly from the sun. And the sun was saying to him, open your hearts to me, bring me in close. I will help you transform your lives from the inside out. Don't keep me distant anymore. You need me to accomplish what it is you're here to do. So I thought, we really need to talk about the sun and its importance in our ascension process and our upgrades and our evolution.
Mhm.
That's really interesting, just because it's coming from him, totally separate of other information that's come through.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so for all of these reasons, I thought it was important for us to talk. We haven't really delved into this topic of the sun.
No, that's good.
All right. So first of all, let's talk about what these are scientifically
Mhm.
so that
Oh
you
my
can.
goodness, I'm going back to school. She's got a whole list of stuff here.
I just posted this
We're
from.
talking a table, and there's
Right?
italics and
It's-
equals and greater thans, which I had the hardest time understanding.
Let me just let you know, so we're all on the same page, right? Okay, so according to the scientists, there are 4 classes of solar flares. A B, which is pretty minor, and it's too weak to detect for our instruments to detect.
Okay.
A C, which is small with few noticeable consequences on Earth,
Oh, that sounds
Right.
and our equipment can only pick up the strongest Cs. Now, each of these classes they have a number as well. Their strength ranges between 1 and 8, I think.
Hmm.
So it can be a B5 or a B8 or whatever. So the stronger ones like 8, our equipment can pick up. The M and the X are the ones that I want to highlight for you, because the M is next.
I've been hearing a lot of those.
There have been a lot of those,
Yeah.
but even more, well, not even more, but significant number of X's, which is even
Yeah.
more important. Okay, so an M definitely can be picked up by our equipment, and it can cause brief radio blackouts that affect Earth's polar regions and minor radiation storms.
Hmm.
So anytime there's an M, it usually takes about, I think, 2 days to hit Earth. And it depends on if it's facing Earth, if it's from this part of the sun that's facing Earth, or if it's off to the side, as to how
That
the
makes
impact will
sense.
be.
I gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
And then there's an X. And the X definitely can be picked up. It can trigger planet-wide radio blackouts and long-lasting radiation storms. Now, we are overdue for a big solar flare. And if you start researching this rabbit hole, you'll see that our scientists have said we're ready for one, and they expect one, and it could happen at any time. And what's scary, really, if you think about it, they haven't upgraded our systems of the
Electronics.
electric grids and stuff like that. So something like this
Poor
could
Texas
easily.
really, remember, they were really feeling it last winter, was it?
Yeah, when that ice storm hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Brett Weinstein and Heather Hying, I like to watch them. They are 2 evolutionary biologists. They just covered this on their show this
Dark Horse podcast.
this past week, and they were briefly talking in a segment about how it would only cost, and this is relatively small when you think about how much money we've spent on wars, a couple of billion to upgrade the whole nation's electrical grid. And people are presented to Congress and all of this and that, and they refuse to do it. I don't know why, but scientists are nervous because In other words, we're expecting a big solar flash.
Mm.
Now, if you're in the metaphysical or spiritual community, you understand we also have talked about a solar flash as it relates to the event,
Mhm.
right? And we've talked about the event on our show before. So these things are coinciding and are often talked about together. So I want to talk about what that means. All right. I turned you on to Carta Astral, correct?
Yes.
222.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think about.
Well, and I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, why are you so amazed by this? Like, because it was hard to understand what she was saying. Well, then I realized, oh, it was being translated. That's not
No.
her primary language.
Okay.
I think she's Spanish speaking, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And she's on Facebook, Carta Astral 222,
Mhm.
and I'll put that in the description or the
Yep.
comments or whatever.
Mhm.
And she's really good at talking about, what's going on with the solar flares and stuff, and then your symptoms that can arise from it. The thing about the symptoms is it could be anything. It could, like,
Yes.
I mean, she's
Yes.
pretty specific over the areas that it affects, the structures that it affects, but like you could be having just a bad hair day and think, oh my God, is that a solar flare? So it to me, I like when it's really direct, this is what's going to happen when you feel this. But the thing is, we're all individuals. It depends on
Right.
where the weakness is in your body. And,
Yep.
so then I started going, okay, I get that. So it's more that when there's no other explanation, okay, see if these fit.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to go that
Right,
route.
right. And
Yeah.
the reason we're talking about this is because those solar flares not only affect our electronics, but they affect our bodies because our bodies
Our
have an electrical
electric,
system, right?
Mhm.
Biomagnetic and all of those things can affect
Yeah.
us the same way that 5G can affect certain people and all of that kind of stuff. So depends on how sensitive you are, or microwaves or
Mhm.
whatever kinds of things. So Carta Astral does a really good job coming at this from a scientific. She understands the metaphysical now, but initially she was very fascinated with the scientific and these flares and how they work.
Mm.
And so she's probably the best one I've found that keeps track of the physical symptoms and will tell you based on the strength what to
Mhm.
expect. And like we said, sometimes we'll wake up in the morning and he'll be complaining about a particular thing that's unusual. And I'll go, Carta Astral just said that's because of a solar flare.
Yes. Yes. Oh.
So
And I roll my eyes because yes, it happens quite frequently. And I'm not quite sure if it's just me getting old or, oh, it's a new solar flare.
Yeah, it is hard to know, but it's just one thing that helps you to better understand. But then again, if there's a whole bunch of people experiencing the same thing,
Yeah.
now it's making me go, is that why I've felt this incredible headache pain lately? Because
wonder.
nothing else explains it. I'm saying, oh, my glasses maybe, but I've been wearing my glasses all day today, looking at the screen, and my head's been basically okay the past 2 days. Anyway, you never know.
I feel like somebody else in our circle was talking about a headache today, and maybe that is it.
And that's one of the good things about having community.
Mhm.
Yes.
With other people. It doesn't mean you have to all agree on things, but when you have a community that you can talk to about things that may not make sense to anyone else, at least you're getting the feedback. At least, there's this give and take so that you can get a collective idea. Wow, a lot of people are experiencing this. So that helps.
It is to bounce ideas off of each other.
Mhm.
A lot of people call all of these aches and pains ascension symptoms too. So that's another thing
Yep.
that can be overrated, but maybe not. It depends on how sensitive you are.
Yep.
All right. So the solar flash, we did some channeling probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, because a lot of people equate the event. Let's refresh our memory on the event.
That's when I first met y'all. Was you guys were coming up with these channelings. So this was all new to me.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Interesting.
so me with the way that I am, I was like, okay, this is interesting. So then I started researching to see if there's a cross reference because discernment. And it's like all of these other things that, like coming from totally different places.
But they're all
Yeah.
converging.
Yeah. And it's not like it's not like you turn to any station and they're all spouting the same thing. No,
Right.
everyone's got their own little take on it that
Sure.
all blends together. So it's,
Yep.
yeah. So that's when like one of the first major discussions we had.
right. So people have been talking about this event for many, many years,
Mhm.
maybe even since like 2012 and before that.
Mhm.
I know that Allison
Yeah.
who's on YouTube and had done a flurry of QHHT sessions that she was sharing with people. And a lot of her clients were talking about the event, and that was kind of her specialty. And that was probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. At least.
Fascinating information even to go back now. She doesn't post quite as often, but she has quite a following too.
I mean, and when I initially started channeling, you were asking quite a few questions about it as well.
Because I'd heard about it from all different
Yeah.
people and stuff, and I was fascinated. So essentially the event is this wash or wave of energy that's going to wash over our planet essentially and cause us basically to upgrade, cause us to evolve. And it's talked about a lot in the origin story. There are several chapters, several of the groups have discussed it from different perspectives. So if you haven't read that, it's helpful to read that in there. And so the confusion was always, though, is the event a solar flash, this big solar flash that everybody's been expecting, even the scientists have been expecting, because they know it's coming pretty soon in our window right now.
Mm-hmm.
There was something called, and I meant to look this up before the show, but there was something called the Great Carrington Event, and I think that
I've
happened
heard of that.
in 1847
Yeah, I
or
heard-
49 or
heard
something
of
like
that.
that. And that was the last time that had happened. So they know we're overdue for one. So the spiritual people have been thinking, oh, maybe that's the event. So we asked the collective about it. And they said, let's see here. They said the event upon its arrival will change your world. For your planet and all those that are not acclimated to the event, there must be a down period. So they're saying that after the event, things need to calm down so that we can adjust to what just happened. Right. So they're saying,
Lots of interpretation there.
yeah. So they're saying the event's going to happen first. The event is not the same thing as the solar flash. So they say it will be in conjunction. The event will be in conjunction with a solar emission, but the solar emission is purposeful. It is then to quiet the planet post the event. It will not be disruptive as you've been understanding it. So all of these scenarios that Brett Weinstein and other scientists and things are talking about happening and taking down the whole electrical grid are not going to happen.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
That's open for interpretation. What you consider as what did
Disruptive, the
they say? Yeah,
word?
disruptive could be different things.
Could be.
Like,
yeah.
you know, so like I wouldn't say an absolute, no, there won't be anything, but
No. And they go
Okay.
on and talk a little bit
Okay,
about
sorry.
that. Yeah.
Well, not that I want it, you know, like taken away from me, the drama of it all, but just just that, yeah.
No, I think they mean
Interpretation.
like worldwide blackouts and all that. I don't think they mean it's going to be quite like that.
Yeah.
Dramatic.
Cats
Correct.
marrying dogs and all that.
Right.
Isn't that that's the Bill Murray line or something, you know, like things raining down, cats and dogs. And
Oh my
things.
goodness.
Anyway.
Hadn't heard that one.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
That was Ghostbusters.
Cats married a, oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, I haven't heard of Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. We know you don't watch a lot of shows.
I don't watch TV movies. If the solar emission were to happen prior to the event, then yes, there would be mass chaos. But it's purposeful post-event. It allows the planet to settle. It allows all the vibrations that are being emitted by all of your electronic devices, all things that emit electronic frequency, to be quieted. So in other words, they are saying that your cell phones might go out, your computers might go out, Zoom, all that kind of stuff might go out briefly. So that could be very disturbing to people who are dependent on that. And if communications for a short time are out because of your cell phones, right?
Yeah.
So you're right. You have a good
That's how
point.
you get emergency vehicles and stuff.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah,
that's based
yeah,
off of that now. Yeah.
True. So they say this is
Mhm.
purposeful for in that period of time of quiet, those that have not understood their awakening will begin to understand. So this time of quiet, put your dang cell phone down and let us talk to you. We've just unloaded this event on you, on your planet, and it's meant to upgrade you. But if you just keep about your busy day, you're not going to be able to incorporate the
Goodness.
energy that's coming at you,
Uh-huh.
is what they're kind of
Interesting.
saying. For at that point during the event, pure vibration will envelop your planet. Mother Earth will attune that vibration to the appropriate frequency. This is essential. The event changes all frequencies to a higher frequency band, a higher place.
Sounds like a tuning fork.
Mhm.
Right. And so the event first, the solar flash second. So it's really interesting. It's anybody's guess as to when that happens.
And Isn't there something about like these guys who've been following like the polar tilt or whatever?
Shift. You mean the magnetic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily mean the
Shift.
world goes upside down.
No.
It means that the magnetic.
The magnetic poles reverse.
Pole flip. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like that would be a good channeling to do to see if that's in correspondence with all of this.
Well, we did talk
Yes.
to Enoch about that a while back.
you
Remember
did?
in Kansas? Oh, you don't remember? You were out.
When she said that, do you remember?
Well, we did talk about it after, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's easy for you to cop out and just go, yeah, I don't know.
Nope.
So at some point in humanity's future, and it might be due to this pole flip. I don't remember if Enoch said that that was definitely happening or anyway, it's going to be quite a far further out,
Yeah.
20, 30, 40, 50 years or something. And that things that were underwater will no longer be underwater and vice versa.
So that is a planetary shift.
Mm-hmm. And that there'll be a lot fewer people on the planet, a lot fewer. Now our friend Donna and Diana,
I got a thought.
you got a thought?
I'm
Do tell.
random thought. This float. So if the poles flip, right? There's a point at there's when you just it's my head. When the poles flip, there's a point at which everything becomes neutral, right? Because you're
Yeah.
not either
Yeah.
north or south, you're just kind of in the middle, and then all of a sudden it reverses. So at that point of neutrality or middle point, what happens to gravity?
We start floating, I
I
guess.
don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just a thought.
I
that
think
rolled
it's something
through
that
my head.
happens real quickly. Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
The thing
Yeah.
is, we're already going to be evolved. We're already going to be in 5D. We're already going to be.
Oh, we'll just be watching. We'll be eating our popcorn and watching.
So we're not going to have the same kind of physical. We're going to have a physical body, but it won't be exactly the same.
in
so
other
it
words, our
probably
guess
won't
is
be
as good as yours.
right. It won't be.
You receive this information, but it's like,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Our imagination can never quite capture
Right.
like the reality of it. And that's what I always find fascinating with all of this is do not like, it's fun to discuss, but do not get literal and don't sit there and go, well, I can't do this because there's a polar shift coming or a flash or whatever. Because it will never be what you think it is going to be.
Right.
Like when they talk about, okay, this stuff will affect radio transmissions. Well, they know that because it's done that in the past. So that's like kind of evidential, factual kind of
Mhm.
thing. But a lot of this stuff, it's words being filtered, coming
Mhm.
through, filtered, and we do our best to describe or relate or whatever. But we
don't know until
we're
it
so
happens.
limited in how we perceive our reality to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always go back to that example of, where the, in South America, the natives, how they interpreted when the people would come off the Spanish galleons that they walked on water because they didn't have a reference point for the ships.
Right.
And it's the same thing with all of this. We don't have a reference point for how that we hear a wave. So we think, okay, it's physical. Well, no, it's an energetic wave. Okay. So we're going to feel it bristling,
Right.
who
Mhm,
knows?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like throwing that in there so it makes people go, oh, okay, let me stop going doomsday and thinking the worst. And because
Well, we need to get
That's-
out of that doomsday
Well,
mentality.
our nature as a human is to be in that
the animal in us is going to be
is that the worst case scenario aspect of, oh my God, this is going to be disruptive and chaotic and everything is
The same way we thought Y2K was.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Remember
That was a
Y2K?
big fat nothing.
What were you guys doing?
What do they say, nothing burger?
Y2K?
I went to bed and woke up. That was,
I remember I was in the church at that time and I remember talking to the pastor. I said, can I spend the night in the church? I feel safe.
Really?
I'm thinking I really want to be around my church family when that happens because I don't know. Maybe we're going to be raptured out of the church. Who knows?
who knows? But yet we're still here.
We are.
No, God, I'm thinking, somebody made a lot of money off of all
Mhm.
that. Like,
Maybe it could have. Maybe they fixed
maybe,
it.
yeah, maybe,
Maybe they
or
fixed it
maybe
in
there's a reality that
It did?
It did.
Oh, we
happen.
jumped reality points.
Yeah, we decided that one wasn't a good one. Let's just keep going with
That
this.
is interesting.
Okay. So interesting that about the there was something I was going to ask about the flash. And now because we really went down some rabbit holes. So now I don't discuss. Then it'll
Keep
come
going.
back up. Yeah.
So whenever we do meditations and we talk about the sun, we have several layers of that sun. We have like the galactic sun. We talk about
Mhm.
and then there's another
Which is a portal.
sun. I think
Oh.
the sun is a portal or has a portal or
But,
Yeah.
okay, so
There
that's
are
different than
beings-
the galactic. Okay.
there are beings that can come and go through our sun. Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Venus. The Venusians said
Mhm.
that Venus used to be a jumping off point
For the sun. Yeah.
for
there's
people that were
yeah.
coming in or going out of the sun. That's in the
There's
Venusian chapter.
there's a I wish I could remember. I'm kind of like you with names. They escape me when I need them. But there's a person on Facebook that I is in my friends list, and you can take it with a grain of salt, whatever, however you wish. But she captures images of the I forgot how they do it. Basically, they shadow out the sun and only capture the
The
Like-
ejections.
basically.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But they capture what is perceived as ships all around and in that aspect. And
I think I've heard
it's
that.
very interesting when I've looked at it. It's like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks pretty much like a ship, So
And again, we talked about, or we will talk about AI. I don't know where this will fall,
Mhm.
but there are doctored images. So be careful. You
Yeah.
can't believe everything that you see in a picture. Things can be photoshopped and videos can be
yeah,
altered.
yeah.
But it's
Um,
neat people who make it their area of interest, and they're actually
Mhm.
taking these
Oh,
images.
yeah, she definitely takes the images and then she, zooms in on them and then highlights certain areas and then she posts updates of the activity, shall it be said, of the
Interesting.
sun.
Shall it be said? I love that
Yeah.
because you
Oh.
say that in channeling a lot.
Do I really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Wow,
And that's something you don't typically say
my
during
reality and my channel
Are
reality are
blending.
starting to blend.
Ruh-roh.
Maybe I'll just be in a constant state of channel.
It is true though that there are
No, that would be
lots
so
of
obnoxious.
lots of ships out in our atmosphere and many around the sun. I'm just going to keep going. What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
We're having our sidebar conversation over here. No, I agree. There are
Do share.
it's like school kids, right? Teachers over here talking. Hey, did you
Attention,
No, I'm
attention.
good. Go ahead.
gotta hold a hand up to quiet the class?
Uh-huh.
No, I agree with you. You see the images, the people take the images of the moon and stuff and the crafts that are coming and going from the moon and
Mhm.
all that stuff. So, and this is well before AI that they've captured these things. So
Do you remember shortly after we were talking to our Zeta and I asked him, tell me about what we need to know about the dark side of the moon, like what's over there.
Mhm.
He wasn't able to tell me a lot. Not that he couldn't tell me, he wouldn't tell me
Mhm.
because it wasn't time yet and that can't get out. Some of that can't get out.
Yeah, because
Now, it was probably 2-3 years ago.
And why are we going back to the moon?
why are we?
Yeah. I don't understand. Like, it just seems like we should be, I thought we were going for Mars or something. and-
Elon is. I don't know what our government's doing.
Yeah.
Elon's going to
Maybe
Mars.
maybe the nuclear core of the moon needs to be recharged, so that's why
Oh,
we got to go back
that's
to the moon.
it.
So,
So it can light up occasionally. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, sorry, we digress. Solar flares. Okay, back to the solar flares. I don't know where we are with this, but I'm going to share this.
We're riffing now. That's all the info that I had. So now we're
We're done. Bye.
just,
So I remember over the summertime, we got into we as in our group got into this, makes no more sense to y'all. Sorry, but I know what I'm talking about. I know my truth. That we were somehow talking about solar flares, the sun or something. I don't remember where it started, but we all noticed that we were getting these cravings to go out in the sun. And like,
Mhm.
no matter what problem I was having, like I would just go, I just would drop everything and go sit out in the sun. And I am obviously lily white here,
Mhm.
but I had to go out and get
Yeah.
like 10 to 15 minutes. And the same with grounding, like
Yeah.
it just became this thing where I was barefoot almost all like last summer into the fall.
Yeah.
I hated to put shoes on. And I don't know what it was, but it was this just craving for this, but especially the sun. I didn't want to wear sunglasses. And
Oh,
there's no
yeah.
reasonable like whatever for it. And I think we might have talked to David
There is-
Manning around that time.
Well, there is
Seriously.
something about sun gazing. I haven't gotten into that or looked into that
We
too
had a
much.
conversation about all this,
But
and
I think when it's low on the horizon, you can gaze at the sun when it's not at its brightest.
yeah.
And the information coming into your eyes is really important. The sun
Sunrise.
is giving you downloads and upgrades. And so my higher self did say,
Mhm.
and I think it's good advice probably for everybody, dip in and dip out, get out there for 5-10 minutes and then come back in and as much skin as you can expose, because it is giving you information that way.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I went through a period of time where I was challenging myself to get up at the sunrise. Cause I just don't do that. And I was going out and just going like, okay, bring it on, sun,
Yeah.
but the feeling that I was getting from doing that, it's just, there's something to do with biorhythms, it's like more than just like, there's a whole, when you let your body go along with the flow of the seasons, the day, the time, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And it would just, I thought I would be exhausted by the end of the day, but instead I was supercharged and there was just a lot like happening. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like, so like I was crystal clear during that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's something to all of it. And everyone I think knows the specialness of the sun.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I'll say, this is why I think, as much as our dermatologist would not like to hear me say this,
No.
I'm not a big fan of skin
Sunscreen.
sunscreen stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it does block the rays of the sun that you need. So obviously you don't overdo it. I mean, I had melanoma. I'm not telling anybody to go out in the sun for a long time because you can have detrimental effects. We know that.
Exactly.
But to completely stay out of the sun like they did during the big C and to keep indoors and not get fresh air and all of that kind of stuff is not good advice either.
No, and that's crazy advice because it turns out vitamin D was your best friend through all of it,
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
craziness.
Right. And so since you mentioned grounding, that's important too.
Mm-hmm.
Getting your feet on the ground. Our friend Maria really despises being outside.
Yes.
Really?
So does Natalie,
Yeah.
our daughter.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't like to go outside and I guess put her feet in the ground and stuff like that. So she had asked one time, what can I do? Because I know grounding is important. And they said, it's still good if you can't get outside or put your feet in the ground. Maybe you live in the Arctic or something, to sit and meditate and, grow roots down into the ground and ground yourself that way to
And
Mother
that
Earth.
feels really good too.
Yeah.
And
So-
there's
so-
grounding mats.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
all those kinds of things.
Yeah. We did that for a while. We had the grounding pads that you put on your feet and then ground to the grounding port on electrical socket.
Conover. What is her first name? Conover with a K.
Yeah.
We used to live here in Charleston and she was in that movie called Earthing.
Earth.
Oh,
Earthing, I
yeah.
think it was. That's a great movie if you haven't watched
I'll
that.
try to put a link to that in the. in
Yeah,
the
because that's
show.
free on YouTube, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Might be.
Yeah.
So she moved, I think, to Charlotte area.
Yeah.
Earthing.
Yep.
Well, so back to sun stuff.
Mhm.
So we started off like this podcast will be aired long after
Yes.
this
This
class.
particular one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
But now you'll know how to
Where-
handle the next one because
Where's
lots of
a good
M's.
resource that people can do? Where did you get that?
well, we mentioned the Carta astral, but
I just Google searched because I wanted to know what the different
But-
classifications
But
were.
there are some groups out, or not, maybe Facebook groups out there. too.
Okay, here's another one. Suspicious Observers
Oh,
on YouTube.
Yeah, that's I think the one I'm thinking.
He does like a 3-minute update every single day.
Yeah.
oh wow.
And he talks a lot about those.
Yeah.
The flares and all of
I
that
think
kind of
that's what I was
stuff.
thinking of. That's the one I hear you listening to. Yeah.
So
It can sometimes be a bit fear-based, kind of fear-mongering, I think, because he does talk about the pole shifts and all of the bad things that can happen with the sun. So I don't know how woo-woo he is. I know he's a little bit woo, or he's at least getting into
But
the woo.
that's probably more for the I'll call it the prepper side of people.
Yes,
you
I
know?
think that's right.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
what I would say. But
Yeah.
but it is worth a listen and it's short
Yeah.
during the day.
Well, so when okay. They said when was that
This
class
X one
solar
was
flare, when was that ejected?
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Okay, and so it usually takes, they say, about 2 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Dana.
But they don't know
Yeah.
when it should, so it could be happening right now and we have no clue.
Could be.
Mhm.
I don't know if they make at-home kinds of monitors or anything like that. Do you know?
I have no idea. Maybe a good research project, to be honest with you. I have.
Let us know in the comments if you know if they make at-home meters that can tell that.
the intensity of the solar radiation that's coming in that's not otherwise
They
observable.
can tell everything else. You'd
Yeah, I
think that
know.
they'd have one of those.
And just because it can doesn't mean it does trigger, because it depends on whether it's angled right at us or shooting off towards the side or.
Right.
Now, did you come across anything about black holes, sunspots?
No, I didn't look into sunspots.
Oh yeah,
And the
because it's
activity.
really weird when they talk about that, because they're like, there was like some weird thing going on. I
Yeah.
did catch that with a sunspot,
And
that.
I think that if I remember,
Which makes them
correctly,
really
I could be
uncomfortable.
completely off base, but the ramping up of sunspots is also an indication of the intensity of the eruptions that are taking place.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah, something
now-
like that.
what's interesting, and the reason I bring it up is because I remember this was, where were we? Was it in Texas? Or was it in Boston? It was early on in my career. One of the areas that we were stationed at, I remember, and I think it was Texas, driving home, and the sun was just at the right spot. And this was a number of days in a row. If I had my sunglasses on and I could shade,
Polarized.
polarized, and I could shade with the visor just right and look at it, or if there was fog where the sun, you can see the sun behind the fog, but you can
Oh,
actually
yeah.
look at it.
Yeah.
You could literally see sunspots on the sun.
Hmm.
And, make of it what you wish. It was just interesting. And it's very interesting to see that
Mhm.
and not look away, because it's like, what am I looking? Am I really seeing sunspots?
Uh-huh.
It's just so intriguing. So I'm wondering if there's maybe that's, you could, for the next channeling,
Research.
we can,
Sunspots.
asking what sunspots, but if I remember right, sunspots are actually a indicator of upcoming
Eruptions.
major solar activity, which
Might be.
then
I wish I could remember who I was listening
and the
to.
energy of that.
Yeah, who was talking about, like, it was someone's,
Mhm.
it was actual scientist,
Scientist.
meteorologist or something. And he was really getting into, like, I remember he was circling it and saying, now this is the spot that we're concerned about because it's an indication. And I thought he said something about eruptions, but I just remember looking at it going, whoa, and then just going, need to know. I don't
Yeah,
need to know
right,
this. Like, it's
right.
just, because what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Um,
And I will say, over the last year or so, I think we've become more aware of the M and the X class eruptions, just because you listen to that information and,
Mhm.
nothing more probably more for just informational purposes than anything else. Because, I mean, I'm techie, so I got a ton of equipment, and I've really haven't seen major disruptions in any of that. Now,
Right.
okay, the internet glitches. Well, is that a solar flare?
We've
or
had
is
more
that-
Mercury upgrade stuff. or
Right. There's
Mercury
more
retrograde.
retrograde stuff. There's more
Upgrades.
retrograde stuff.
Yeah.
That
Mercury
I can
needs-
definitely say
Oh,
that was
hell yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But for sunspot stuff, so I think if anything, if there is a major eruption that, hits Earth and it's just at the right, it's really going to have some noticeable effects, and we're going to all see it. It's not going to be just isolated here and there. So I don't know.
The thing
I
is,
don't think the scientists would talk about it that way
Yeah.
if it wasn't so. Like,
Yeah. I just
Depends.
wonder, I don't think that they can give us much notice
Hmm.
unless they are monitoring sunspots, and that is a tell
Mhm,
of
Mhm.
something maybe impending.
mhm.
Because if we don't have a
Mhm.
lot of notice,
Yeah.
then we're going to be washed by the event, and we're going to know something happened,
yeah.
right?
Mm.
For that big one,
Yeah,
the
that's
big
true.
one. And then if the event hits, then you're going to know, we're going to know, y'all are going to know, because we've told you, be on the lookout for a solar flash.
Well, and we're talking about it because these are on the increase right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are getting excited because,
Are they?
yeah,
Oh,
Does it affect weather and stuff as well? Like, does it affect, no, because I don't know. Because remember, like, there've been so many earthquakes. I mean, think about all the earthquakes.
I was
that just
thinking,
occurred.
don't
I
know.
was wondering that if it affects that. I know it affects the geomagnetic aspect, and
that's what they call it too, a geomagnetic storm.
Like what
Yeah.
happens, the
Yeah.
birds and like
Oh.
migration, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
If it's geomagnetic, because
Yeah.
they
The
use the
birds fall
magnet.
out of the
they-
sky. Remember that?
The
Groups of birds falling out of the sky. You don't remember
yeah,
that?
I remember
Which
that.
movie was this?
No, this is real life.
Yeah, this is
It's
um I forget where that was, but yes, I remember.
Wasn't not
there was,
too long ago.
and there were a number of incidents like that where just like a pocket of birds just boop,
Yeah.
fall out of the sky.
Yeah, because they really need that geomagnetic. And apparently, they say that God, I wish I could remember things. I remember things, I just don't remember the sources, so it makes me just sound like I'm just pulling
Making
this
it up.
out of my, yeah. So I'm making this up too. But that some people still have that geomagnetic,
Oh yeah.
or not, it's that magnetic whatever
Mm-hmm.
somewhere here in their head.
Near their third eye or something?
Yeah, yeah, and that's why they're able to perceive, or like for me, I know, I guess I have it, I don't know, because I can go into any location, and once I go a route, like I know it, like I know when I feel like I'm going north versus south. I get a strong
So you
feeling.
don't have that.
No,
You get into as soon as you get into the mall, you get lost.
I didn't even know where the sun is at all times.
Yeah,
Otherwise I get lost. Yeah. I mean, not that I don't know up or down, left or right. I just,
Mhm.
Most of the
the cardinal points, I lose aspect of, north, south, east, west, that kind of thing.
well, because Rob feels like he totally has it and whatever, and he'll go left, and I'm going, no, but we came from this way, and it's not a memory thing, it's a feel.
Yeah.
Like it just feels
And-
wrong to go
That's
one way and
interesting.
right to go
And
the
I
other.
have that when I'm outside, when I'm
Mhm.
inside or.
So then it's not really a gyroscope in your head.
No.
It's more, where the sun is. at
It's
any
an
time.
orientation of and it could, and that's a good point. It could be that at some level, I'm very perceptive of the solar, emission, and that's
Right.
what's keeping me oriented in a certain,
Oriented
Thank
or
you.
orientated.
yeah,
One of those.
that word in a
You're very
partic-
orientative.
right in a particular direction. Now when I go inside and I'm shielded from that, then I spatially I'm good. It's just directionally
Yeah.
I lose it. Yeah.
Well, we know that the sun is important. Get out there in the sun just a little bit, at least just a little bit, and let the sun bring you whatever beauty and information is needed.
Mhm.
Have I missed anything?
That sounds good, okay?
Are you trying to give South Carolina a bad name or what?
South Park.
So
Oh, see, I don't.
It sounds good, okay? Go enjoy.
I haven't watched South Park in
in ages,
many, many, many years.
just a little nugget broke off. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. This was fun. Hopefully it was informative and helpful.
Mhm.
Let us know what we missed. Is there something else we need to research? What do you know that we don't know?
Yeah. Put it,
Another link that
right.
would
Put it
be-
in the comments. Yeah. If you guys have links to information that we haven't discussed
Right.
or you guys are hooked into that
We don't know everything.
shed some more light on things, please share it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And thanks so much for spending your time with us again.
Yes.
Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.
There's not a bell.
I think
not
there really is.
there is
There's not a bell.
There's not
Somebody else said there was.
That's an old,
Okay, this is a Mandela thing. It's becoming a Mandela thing.
I don't know. We'll look. I don't know. Just subscribe.
And if
And
there's a
share.
bell, ding it. It'll make Allison happy.
And
It used to be a
share.
thumbs up or a thumbs down. Now it's just a thumbs up. There's no thumbs down.
Does that hurt people's
Oh,
feelings?
Right.
That's true. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks you guys. This is a blast. A blast from the sun.
Right.
Oh.
Ta-da-da.
Anyway, we'll see you next time.
Flash.
All right, guys.
Bye.